it to me. I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell. But if I had to make a gut feeling, I would say no, he didn't. But it's really, I saw this play 1,000 different times from 100 different angles. They've been running it all over the sports highlight reels, and there's no way of telling. I've seen a still shot picture with 1 foot off the ground, but who's to say that there wasn't a foot on the ground? You just can't tell. You can't tell, and the refs couldn't tell. The refs couldn't tell in that situation, and it's got to be irreversible, indisputable evidence, something like that. It's some goofy term in the NFL, but there was no indisputable. There was no evidence. You couldn't look at that tape and say, no, he definitely did not get both feet in. All right, you can't say that. There wasn't enough there for them to overturn the call. So, sorry Arizona fans, but that's just the way it is. That's the way it goes. That happens in football. It was a close play. The refs did the best they could. They even looked at it again to make sure they didn't make a mistake. And when they looked at it, they didn't see anything that would cause them to overturn the play. So the rule stood. Now, had they called it incomplete, had they called it not a touchdown when it happened, they wouldn't have been able to overturn that either. So it was basically that the Super Bowl came down to what one ref, I don't know, call. He had to make a call. You can't just stand there with a goofy look on your face. He had to make a call, so he said touchdown. I mean, I think knowing full well that he would be able to go back and review, or at least the officiating crew would be able to go back and review the play, I think he said touchdown. And then when they go back and when they went back and looked, there was nothing to show them that it wasn't a touchdown. I don't think there was anything to show them that it was, but you just can't do it. If there's nothing concrete, solid in place, you can't overturn it. You can't overturn it. And like I said, I feel bad for Arizona fans. I was pulling for Arizona, I guess, a little bit, and you always pull for the underdog, right? But I don't know. All right, see you, Shannon. So, if I was an Arizona fan, it would be harder for me, I'm sure, but I'm not. I was just watching the game, and that's the way it came down. It might have not been a touchdown, might have been a touchdown, but they couldn't reverse it. They couldn't overturn it, and you have to say anyway, even if you are an Arizona fan, that the Steelers earned it. It's not like they got handed a title. It's not like a few years ago when they played Seattle and the referees made the most god-awful calls in any Super Bowl ever and basically handed the title to Pittsburgh. In this case, I'd say Pittsburgh earned it. They played a really good game. Roethlisberger, even though I said he was going to be weak, he was going to be one of the weak performers, he actually played pretty good. He didn't throw a touchdown pass until the very end, but I couldn't believe the pressure he was getting out of. How mobile he was back there in the pocket. I was really impressed with Ben Roethlisberger and what he was able to do. And just a great Super Bowl. Just a great Super Bowl. Absolutely. And like I said earlier, the parity. This is where this comes into play. The parity in the league. Some people don't like it. Some people do. Since the salary cap was put into place, all the teams have been kind of equal. They've kind of been on the same level, and there's still good teams and there's still bad teams. But at the end of the year, at one of those mediocre, kind of right under the top tier of teams, these teams can win. These teams can at least make it to the Super Bowl. And, in the case of the Giants, the season before last, you can win. You can knock off the favorite. It can happen. All right, and parity's good for the league. It's good for the league. It really is. Now, how good was that Super Bowl? Going into the Super Bowl, people were saying this was going to be one of the lowest rated Super Bowls that there's been. This was the second highest rated Super Bowl of all time. Pittsburgh and Arizona, two teams that nobody was supposed to care about. Everybody's glued to the TV set, and it's an amazing game. Why? Parity in the NFL. Salary cap. Great idea. Hey, there's still really, really good teams. There are still teams that year in and year out are better than other teams. Obviously, the Patriots, the Colts, Yeah, on the other side of the ball, the Giants are a very well-run organization, and I think they've kind of moved up into that top tier, even though they obviously didn't make it all the way this year. But I mean, they're that good. Philadelphia is another team I think is up there year in and year out, are a good team. Um, but any given Sunday, anybody can go down, and especially when the talent is as balanced out as it is right now. So don't